So I want to talk about something that's appeared in my reality a lot lately as a reflection to witness and observe that I think is going to be of grand importance going forward within the energetic, spiritual, and most importantly, sovereignty communities and mutual engagement and respect and honor. And yes, a lot of these voids or lack of knowings or experiences comes from childhood wounds, but those of you who are aware of how to properly communicate, act, and experience on a level that is reciprocal will understand what I'm saying, and that is energetic reciprocity in all forms is going to be paramount going forward to maintaining your own sovereign integrity of your soul and your life and your mission and how you communicate with others and how you are to be of service. It is the ultimate sign of respect. The ability to hold space for somebody, the knowing when to not speak, when to hold space, knowing when to actively listen and then actively respond, actively listen, passively respond, maybe not responding. Non-responding is also a form of response, of holding space. It's oftentimes just holding as a witness for somebody. You anchor a beacon of light for them just to transmute trauma, which could be curses, vows, spells, contracts, whatever, and it'll just evaporate into the ethers. And I want to make a longer video about it, but the power of listening is so underrated, and the majority of people, I believe, making a generalization, in the world could use a lot more practice at frickin' listening. Not only listening to others, but most importantly, listening to the inner dialogue within yourself. Because if you can't listen to the inner dialogue within yourself and hold space for yourself, you certainly can't listen to another human being and hold space for another human being. That doesn't mean don't set boundaries. That doesn't mean let people walk all over you. In fact, your sternest and sharpest and strictest boundaries is the purest sign of self-respect and self-love. If you don't have that, you're never going to get that true pure form from another in your sovereign embodiment. And that's the other thing to address here with sovereignty. And as much as labels and definitions are just that in themselves, in one regard, they're extremely important. In another regard, they're just another label thrown at something to distract with the ego mind. At the same time, within all of that reciprocal, communicative, energetic rapport and dialogue back and forth, definitions and boundaries within those definitions of subjective experiences are, I think, vital for expansion of consciousness on this planet within each individual. What am I getting at? I'm getting at the greater issue within the quote-unquote spiritual community. Let's look at that. What is the definition of spiritual? Can any of you right here, right now, concretely give me a absolute definition of what the fuck spiritual means? You can't, and that's the problem. There's too much ambiguity. There's too much subjective perception. Now, yeah, the truth that you just thought of in that split second to give me is true for you. It's not true for the masses. I'll tell you that. Everyone's got their own subjective definition of that. So, where I focus my definitions on, or what I can absolutely confer within my own brain, or what actually matter here in this reality in the now, rather than what is in la la land woo-woo spiritual, because it opens the floodgates if you say spiritual for people to really dig at that and criticize it and dismiss it and disregard it, and it's too broad. So what's going to be really important going forward is our sovereignty, like I said. So going forward, I'm not to blank this with an ego, but I'm not referring to myself as part of any spiritual community. I never have. I don't care. To me, it's a fucking galactic community, and we're merging with the cosmos again. Spiritual doesn't mean shit to me, to be honest. Spiritual is you being your most authentic self. That's what it fucking really boils down to. And a sovereign God. And that's the other thing. So I'm at the point where I'm referring to myself as my own sovereign community, here and now within my individual self. And honoring and respecting and loving that sovereign community within myself will blossom out to the world. What does sovereign mean? I can define that accurately as fuck for everybody. And because this negates the issues in the quote-unquote spiritual community too, with all those channelers and healers who are hijacked by negative energies. What being a part of a sovereign community means that your vessel is a pure channel to the highest light of God, and your ego has no say in what it has control over that sovereignty. Meaning, if you get fucked up, if you get attacked, if you get psychically implanted, if you get all kinds of fuckery that happens from the multidimensional realms fuck with you, you don't drop into denial about it. You don't drop into a place of, I'm untouchable, that can never happen to me because I'm so popular in the spiritual community, and your ego takes over, and you claim to be such a pure channel of light, you've never had a fucking clearing before. It's like, no, sovereignty means having all your chakras and all your energy bodies clear, and your connection to God is pure. It's not hijacked by all the intermediary bullshit in the fourth dimension. Hands down. And the biggest problem in the spiritual community that we have is that there are a plethora of channelers who have gotten very big, yet as soon as they get big and those egos are fulfilled and they get all that attention their way, they don't do their checks and balances. They think they're untouchable, and that leads to infiltration of their energy bodies and their mental bodies, most importantly, and their emotional bodies. And those dark energies in the fourth dimension, that AI is just waiting for your ego to drop right into that so they can just slip that alien implant right in you. And then they have control of your channel. And you're doing no service for anyone, even if you still have a massive following. And you're actually probably doing a lot more harm than good. And it's a crying shame. So that is what matters the most, is that your field is clear on a daily basis, and you have conscious awareness and intention to ensure that so. And if you have any questions of it whatsoever, you have somebody help you clear your shit if you need help. I've sought assistance from that the past 6 years. I have multiple psychics I work with who I ping, who all see differently, to help me if I ever get fucked up. And that's the reality, dude. We live in a very, very dense physical plane, and our physical eyes don't see shit. So that's what true sovereignty is. And it might appear that many in the spiritual community are acting in that manner, but your discernment to understand who is and who isn't is your true mastery. Bottom line. So close the door on quote-unquote spiritual community and welcome your own sovereign community in your God-given Christ itself within. And that's it. That's all I got. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.